My name's Jeff Gale. I'm Chief Designer, Director for Dodge Interior Design.
And here we are sitting in the brand new Dodge Charger. You had an opportunity to completely redo the interior. What really set the inspiration for doing what you did?
Oh boy, there was a little bit of everything. We worked from the beginning very closely with our exterior designers. We looked briefly at, what an original 68 Charger was, that iconic vehicle that everybody remembers. When you see them on the road, that Coke bottle shape obviously played into a little bit of the exterior on this vehicle, as well as some of the graphics read that you get on the front and rear. But on the interior, we wanted to be a bit more revolutionary than just looking at what a 1968 Charger instrument panel looked like, right? They were very, I would say, somewhat simple, but if you really get down to it, there are some things that we used for inspiration on this vehicle. Surprisingly enough, even some of the line work on the instrument panel is somewhat reminiscent. Even the weight of some of these pieces that go across is somewhat reminiscent on what you might find on an original Dodge B-body, right? The texturing that you see on the original 68 instrument panel, we brought into this vehicle has our carbon suede package, but on the other appliques that you see across the instrument panel and the doors, those were inspired by some of those textures. So what results in a very visceral feel to the interior between how we've shaped the instrument panel to be something a little bit more supercar than 68 Charger, I'd like to say. And then of course the texture differences between the interior components I think really play into it and really create kind of a striking new Charger Daytona interior.
You also planned ahead in terms of what you might be able to do as future updates or refreshes on this. Talk about how you developed the instrument panel in kind of layers rather than one big unit.
Well, really, the supercar reference that I talked about was really what created that, right? Jack Liu, our lead designer on the program, created this theme that had this lighting trough through it that divided up the instrument panel. But at the same time, what we chose to keep in some of the areas of a wrapped component with a stitch on it, those different areas are something in the future you may see some change on. We're going to have some fun with maybe stitch colors, even the wrap colors. And as you can see on this car, has our carbon suede package on it. There's suede on the instrument panel in this area, whereas the rest of it is a different wrap, a smoother wrap that's non-suede. So we've had some fun with that, and I think we can explore where we put those components or even others in different colors in the future, dividing up what might follow that lighting, right? So I can't tell you too much of what we've got up here yet, so you just have to wait.
Also, you get in some cars these days and it's, A-pillar to A-pillar screens. You've got a big screen here, but you guys didn't go crazy with the screens.
No, I don't think we went crazy, but I think we went to a level that's appropriate that still gives us some flexibility in the future. We didn't want to do panel to panel. I just don't think that's us from a Dodge standpoint. When you talk about a driver-centric performance car interior, you want everything very selfish to the driver. It's like the passengers, okay, you're going to go for a ride, just sit that back and enjoy, right? So we can control everything that we need to. We hit drive modes twice. It brings up the screen for your setup for drive modes. I can go to custom setup. That's all right here for the driver, right? I don't think we needed anything over on the passenger side for them to be able to control that. So the 16-inch display that's in front of you, obviously we have that. The gamification, I would say, of some of the elements that we've put in there when you switch drive modes is a lot of fun for us. Wet snow we don't need today, definitely, but as you go through auto, sport, track, and then of course the drag, which I think might be my favorite, we have the Fratzog that appears there. So a lot of fun that we had with the graphics on the screens. Our user experience design team, Haley, did a great job. And then of course being able to make all that work between the controls that we have on the steering wheel here, power shot, drive modes, the paddle shifters which control your brake regen, and then the stuff that you see right in front of you is really cool. Even the HUD display changes when you change those drive modes. So a lot of fun was to be had without really alienating the passenger, but we had a lot of fun for the driver, I'd like to say. So
I like your term of gamification. I mean, obviously you're taking inspiration from the gaming community in the graphics, and I got to believe that's also going to appeal to a new generation of buyer.
Exactly. So when you look at the Dodge buyer, they're some of the youngest, I think, on average in the industry. So you think about influences and even upcoming drivers that might want to get into the product later, right? Not even just when we launch here in 25, but later on down the road. How can we inspire people to be enthusiastic toward this vehicle in different ways, right? And that was one of the ways we did it. It's like, how can you be more engaging with the interior, with the controls and things that make sense for a performance car? And we're looking at exactly that. So,
Here we are in broad daylight, but I know one of the things that you really spend a lot of time is the interior lighting, which we really can't show up in this broad daylight. But talk a little bit about what you did in that.
So the interior lighting we had a lot of fun with. It gave us an opportunity, as only an OEM could, to create lighting in the breakup of the design itself, in the breakup of the theme, and that created this different layer that lightened the instrument panel, right? Using lighting to do exactly that. When you look at the lighting in the vehicle, you can control it on the center display here. So we've got a page, you go to vehicle, attitude adjustment lighting, and what you have pop up here is this slider bar where you can slide it. 64 different colors that appear. We made sure it was bright enough to where if you didn't want it during the day, you could lower it down, but then you bring it right back up and you can still see that lighting in broad daylight, the sunlight. So a lot of fun for us. At night, or that dusk that Ryan talked about earlier, dusk is beautiful for this car. Not only can you see the theme of the vehicle, but the lighting starts to really come alive and you see the different events change when you change drive modes. Very cool. We had a lot of fun with the lighting and worked closely with our lighting engineers to get what we really had as our vision in our head to really come to life.
So. One last thing, the seats. You're
Yes.
really proud of what you achieved with the seats here.
I am very proud. So seat team, the engineering team, there's a lot more that goes into seats, especially something without a headrest on it, that someone wouldn't imagine. So I'm very thankful that we got these in the car. A fixed headrest performance seat is only what a performance car should have. We've obviously got options in the breadth of price classes, different option packages that we've got for the vehicle, but absolutely love the material that's on these. Our live wire forged pattern that we've got on the seat inserts in the suede, obviously cooled, is nice to have on a day like today. But where Gary's sitting back there, he's got one of the best views looking at the back of the seat. So, so very proud of that.
You've got what looks like racing seats without crazy bolstering to them.
Exactly. So getting in and out of the vehicle is important, right? We're thankful enough to have a fairly low seating position when you look at the ground level of the vehicle. But at the same time, you wanted something bolstered enough to be able to hold you in the seats when you're really putting these wide wheels and tires to the test, right? So vehicle handle's awesome. You need to have supportive seats to be able to build on that and actually drive the vehicle that way. So the goal achieved.
Yeah. I know we've only barely scratched the surface of what you've done here, but Jeff, thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, John.